everyone, welcome back to my plant channel, Plant Lady on a Mission, and today we have Kelsie with us, and she's going to be sharing a little bit about her business journey, and also, do you want to share that you are currently expecting?
Sure.
She's currently expecting her beautiful baby girl, and I'm really excited for her to be on this channel sharing with us. As I had previously mentioned in my other videos, that part of this channel is really to empower and connect and expand our community with women and really collaborate with other women. We want to be a resource to one another, and so I'm really excited to have her share about her business journey and anything else you would like to share. We're open to. It's really like we just flow with it.
Yeah. I will definitely say I think it's such a beautiful and healing experience because for myself and my business journey, it's called Discovering Shadow. So check me out, discoveringshadow.com. But there's always so many different ways of healing, so many different ways of like going about it. And to see you, Aurelis, and the way you go about your own healing and just the stories of the garden and how that transition was for you, I think is just absolutely so beautiful, so touching. And it's just so nice to see you, I love it. I'm so happy.
Thank you. And we'll, all her, business information, her links, everything will be in the description also. So like that, you could follow her. And if, again, whatever, you're looking for, hoping that you could find on this channel when it comes to really empowering each other as women. And so tell us a little bit about your business.
Sure. So I am a wellness mindset coach. I had to discover that within myself. I did that because before that I was a massage therapist for many, many years. And I really loved it. Massage therapy was so awesome, and it really helped bring me to the world of, holistic living instead of just, what the doctor prescribes or whatever. No, there's other ways to go about it. So it got me into the world of acupuncture, got me into the world of Reiki, got me into the world of yoga, meditation. So all these really cool things. And I'm like, wow, this is great. You can heal yourself, and through massage, as my clientele was just ridiculous. I had so many clients, and it was really such a huge blessing. But as I'm touching everyone's body, everybody just feels so confident and comfortable to, tell you their life. And at the time, I was just such a really, such a compassionate person, didn't know how to separate myself. So I would take on all of their pain that they're telling me.
Yeah.
And I would go, oh my gosh, geez, And that's when I realized, I'm like, man, I gotta do something about that. And it was such a huge blessing that one day, one of my clients early in my massage career, she goes, oh, you should try Reiki. We should totally barter. I'm like, well, what's Reiki? And she goes, oh, it's energy work. And, it's just really nice and healing. And it's a mind-body experience, And I was like, yeah, I'll try it. Sure, I'm open. And that sounds good, clear my mind. Yeah. That was like literally one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. Literally, the session was an hour, and where we did it at was a place that I was renting. I was doing massage. I had rented a room at this space. It was a really nice space. And so the Reiki practitioner, she comes there, and she, begins the session, and I was, fully clothed and comfortable clothes, because she's like, make sure you're just comfy, you're on the massage table, but really want you to be comfortable. She has me get in the sheets, and it was like a little bit warm on the table, which was so nice, and just all these things. And she's like, okay, get nice and comfortable, lay back, take some deep breaths, and just, kind of relax in your mind. She's like, just see all the things that are you normally been, that go on your mind, but like just try and like kind of, I don't know, just release it and just see it, and just calm it down. So I'm like, okay, cool, sure, yeah. And I'm just breathing. And then in that journey, like I said, this was only an hour session. I felt like I slept 6 hours. Like literally, when I woke up, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so amazing. Feel brand new. And, but it was just it's such a cool experience for me because growing up, I've had such, trauma, mentally, emotionally, generational stuff, things that we just, don't really know how to talk about or know how to deal with, know how to face, or even understand, So growing up, I carry that with me. We all do. And so it was hard.
We talk about that also, right? Like when we talk about mental health, the culture is like what happens at home stays at home. Yeah. We don't talk about stuff. But to your point, a lot of that trauma is stored in our bodies, right? And then it shows up differently, We see the pain, we see the anxiety, the depression, we see the mood, how it affects our mood, which ultimately will affect our relationship, right, with others, and how we show up at work and, in society and things, But we also see it then, how it affects, people with, diabetes, hypertension, GI issues, sleep issues, all these things, and so
and it really can create some of those things as well, especially when you're not mentally regulated, it's really important to heal yourself, right? You know what I mean, and to respect yourself and to gain a different understanding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I was just having a conversation this week about, when we talk about the faith-based community, also treating our bodies like the temple of God, right? And there's a part in this that we have to do actively also. And so taking care of our mind, we can't disconnect our mind from our body. We can't disconnect our emotions. Like, God gave us these things for a reason, right? And so it's part of the whole holistic mind, body, spirit component, right? And so really important to be in tune with, your spirit, also what God's placed in you, and discernment, a lot of times we don't think about how our mental health does interfere with, the discernment that Christ has given us also. So
I fully agree with that. And when I had my Reiki experience, for me, it like took me out of my body, and to the point where I felt like I was kind of floating in space, and I saw like my life as a whole, as like a kind of where I was at the point in my life. And then I seen, like, it looked kind of like a timeline, similar to, I don't know, Alice in the Wonderland when they're traveling through the, tunnel or something. I don't know, but something like that. But, and I'm there and I'm like kind of viewing, like, okay, this is where I am in my life, blah, 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 this situation, people around me, blah, blah, blah. And here's all the past things that happened. It was kind of short a little bit, but there was lots of other branches of other things of like my family and my mom and whatever I could have went into, but I just was steady kind of like looking. And then it kind of showed like all the different futures of possibilities and everything. And for me, in that moment of just sitting there and being still and just watching that, really helped me to realize that we created this, like that everything is kind of moldable, that it doesn't have to just be this one way. And it's not just that one way. It's not just what somebody else says. And it's not just, how you feel in that moment. You can be conscious and create your next response, because life is a feeling process. So how we feel about it is so important, and what we, do with our feelings or just kind of moving forward. If we continue the same type of approach over and over again, we'll receive the same results. However, until we can actually step into ourselves and understand of what is our part in it, and actually, make some slight little tweaks and saying, you know what, every single day I argue with this person, and it's, brings the same type of thing over and over again, instead, just sometimes silence is better, and it might bring a whole different thing or whatever, but just small little things that make the change, and it's with that inside of yourself. I feel is so important to experience that.
Yeah, what I hear also is being purposeful, right, with our
Yes.
action, right? And so we know that, you know, when we think of holistic approaches, of healing approaches, a healing journey, it's different for each person, right? Um, I know I've shared my reason for my plant journey and how it helps me co-regulate, right, those emotions, because the reality is that trauma does affect us. And so it's really important that we figure out how we could process that trauma so like that we could show up as productive individuals, contributing to our society, addressing the traumas within ourselves, within our families, but also, you know, depending what your goal is, personal goal, career goal. For me, I know at a larger, in my community and nationally, right? And so I am, first, thank you, right?
Thank you.
But when, you know, a lot of times we don't talk about like, yes, like I don't like this, I have the power to change it, right?
Yes.
And I like to focus on that because we could go through things, we could go through trauma, but that doesn't have to dictate the rest of your life, right? Like you have the power, and people are capable of changing their story, right? Just because something traumatic happened doesn't mean that we stay there, right? And I think a lot of times, you know, when we talk about trauma and when we see the data and the numbers, that's what's happening a lot, right? Because of, again, the stigmas associated with mental health, with trauma, with co-occurring disorders. And so thank you for bringing that in. And I don't know, what is there anything else you would like to share?
Yeah, I do. I want to say that your healing experience is your own healing experience, and I feel like that's the most important thing to fully understand and to come to terms with, because in reality, we cannot change anybody. It doesn't matter how someone else's life or whatever they're doing, or however much you care about them and you want them to like really see their full potential and this and that. Well, how can they see their full potential if you haven't seen yours? And even if you are maybe, you know, stepping into the shoes that you really want to be in, and you are making those changes in your life, you have to respect everybody else's choice to be who they are, because you, granted, God is within. You know, God says Christ died so God can be available to us, and it's all within inside of us. And granted, we're all collected as a whole, but essentially God is within. So how dare you tell somebody else like, oh, I'm your God now, and you need to change and do this and this and that? That's your ego. Instead, and you're gonna hurt yourself, and then so let that one go, or try and work on that. And that is what I like to bring attention to as well in Discovering Shadow, that this is your personal journey. This is for you to come to terms. This is for you to have this great mental clarity. This is for you to experience this full life and peace and abundance, and really to see the beauty. For me, it's the wonder. For me, it is the joy in every little tiny thing. It is the craziness that goes on, and bringing awareness to the craziness and saying, you know what? Who cares? Because it's gonna be over soon. That it doesn't matter, because life goes on, right? So just being mindful and creating that and giving that to other people, I think is so important, just to share. And so that's why I've created this business, this platform, after having my son, after doing massage for so long and leaving that career. And it ended kind of tough, because at the time of my life, I just really needed to step away. I needed to get away. And I had really sensitive skin. So massaging so many people and being the only one at my practice was really challenging. And I try to get people in to try to teach them my skill. However, it was at a time where COVID was still very new, that I was only in 2022 in the summer when I left my business. But, even before that, up to that time, nobody really wanted to work anymore, or they wanted a steady, good clientele. But it's hard to give a whole clientele, people who, are literally requesting me specifically. So, I had to recreate myself. And in this lovely journey of recreation, I came up with Discovering Shadow, as I had to fight my own battles get in there, understand myself, and to love my whole experience, to appreciate my whole experience, and to know that it is okay that I'm not what anybody else, might have said about me or whatever, because that happens in life. You have so many people who are like, oh, well, you did this before. Well, how are you gonna top that? Or what are you gonna do now? Blah, blah. Now you're a mom and you're not a massage therapist anymore. And you're just kind of like letting yourself wind down. Well, what? Now what? And at the time, especially as a new mom, you feel like, you're right. Like, oh my God. When you need that love and comfort, you weren't getting that. And it's just so beautiful. Oh, look at something floating. I love it. All the great signs of wonder. And it's just, it brought me, in as I found myself again through that experience of, not for nothing, but everybody, and they don't mean to be rude because it's nothing against you, but they only can give and grow to their own capacity. Mm-hmm. So if they aren't mentally, at that level of understanding your own, feelings or whatever, or maybe if they do or whatever, but sometimes we just speak. Sometimes we just let it out, and in that, you might be hurting somebody else.
Yeah, and as you were describing that, right, is like being humble.
Yeah.
When I teach on cultural humility, right? Mm-hmm. And what cultural humility really is about a lifelong learning mm-hmm. journey, mm-hmm. right? It's not about a destination. It's about mm-hmm. a journey, mm-hmm. right? So we're on a journey and there's always room for improvement.
Yes.
And that's a lot of the work that I do also, not only in education, but in data and research and things like that. Mm-hmm. It's like, there's always room for improvement. Mm-hmm. None of us are perfect, no. right? And to your point mm-hmm.
that
you mentioned also, like if we're going around saying this is wrong, right? That also comes from a place of pride, mm-hmm. which the Bible talks about, pride goes before destruction mm-hmm. also, right? And for me, as a straight Christian mm-hmm. woman, right? For me, my perspective and my understanding on the best way I could show up as a straight Christian mm-hmm. woman is to believe that I am to love my neighbor mm-hmm. as myself, right? And I like always to preface also, that doesn't mean I'm a doormat.
Exactly.
Right? Because people could go from one extreme to the other. Mm-hmm. That means for me that I believe in a world where we could coexist.
Yes.
That we could work together, yes. we could show up and be decent mm-hmm. human beings, yes. respectful, treat yes. each other with integrity.
Yes.
Because ultimately the way I treat you, mm-hmm. it's a reflection of me
yes.
and how I feel yes. of myself, mm-hmm. right? And so that takes to your other points, right? Mm-hmm. Maturity.
Yes.
Right? Being able to have an open perspective mm-hmm. that even if we don't see eye to eye
mm-hmm.
on things, it's okay to
mm-hmm.
disagree, but we could still, be friends. We could still be cordial. We could still be respectful.
Yes.
We could still work together,
yes.
right? And I think I'm going to say, especially right now under the administration,
right.
it's even more important that we learn how to rise above mm-hmm. certain things, right? And really, yes. I want to always bring it back to gardening, right? And plants. It's like we have so much to learn from history. When we look at farmers, right? And it's like they live such a satisfying life where if you had corn mm-hmm. and I had beans, mm-hmm. let's switch, right? Mm-hmm. Let's trade. Mm-hmm. And for me, anytime I think of farmers, I always feel like that brings the human component back, mm-hmm. right? Because it's really about being able to mm-hmm. live in humanity and share mm-hmm. and grow things, right? Just like us, we want to grow, mm-hmm. But I believe that we can grow together without hurting one another.
Oh, totally. Mm-hmm. I fully agree, and I absolutely respect that. And yes, I will definitely say though, however, with the whole farming thing, that can be, and it obviously depends on who we are, but a trigger for some people because maybe they did grow up the farm life and maybe they experienced a lot of trauma, mm-hmm. Through those yes. through those things, because it wasn't just about that. You know what I mean? That's the nice part of it.
Yes, that's the nice part. But there is a really dark there is a really dark, traumatic
awareness.
event. Yes, traumatic.
Making the peace in it. Yes,
but yes. For me and people that have subscribed and have seen my previous videos too know, like, for me, the garden, the garden means for me personally, right? It was my safe space. When I was with my mom, I knew nothing was going to happen to me. And just being in the sun with my mom, eating tomatoes, blueberries, whatever we were growing.
So cool.
But that was my safe haven, right? That was my safe place growing up with my mom, because again, I knew nothing was going to happen to me. And so I know that, thank you for pointing that out, that's not everyone's experience. And again, we share from our own personal experience, right? And so, yes, I thank you for saying that.
Yeah. We're all here to learn and grow together, you know? And I think it's such a beautiful thing, because we're constantly growing, we're constantly learning, we're constantly evolving, you know, and it's something that is so important that we surrender ourselves to and become, because if not, we can stay the same mentally every single year, and then what happens is we become really miserable and sad and try to put others down, and then the others that we're putting down, sometimes they may not understand, you know, what is going on, but once you become aware, you understand that, you know, people in that situation, that they have not decided to let themselves grow. And you know, as a wellness mindset coach, I love to bring that to awareness, that your journey is about you and your own experience of how you know, experience life and how you go about it, and making peace with how everybody else is. And granted, you don't need to interact with every single person, and especially you making peace with your neighbor, I think that's a wonderful thing. But you know, like we said too, you're not a doormat. You're not people run you over. You know, you're not going to be treated with respect. Yes, healthy boundaries are so great. But definitely, you know, just respecting everybody for who they are, and respecting and learning to really love and appreciate your own self, your own experience is so important.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's so beautiful. Oh my gosh, all these plants. She knows so much about plants. Like, wow.
Do you want to share your new baby?
My new baby. Yay. It's a snake plant, you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes. It's a snake plant. Scientific name is Santaveria.
Yes.
So yes, that adding to your collection. Yay. So thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, that concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing. And again, all Kristen's information will be in the description. You can follow her. Please support her if that's something that you feel compelled to, excuse me. Check out her website. I'll add the links also, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yay. Thank you.